three key questions about Winterbourne View. Now, I suppose I need to kind of put before asking those three questions, put my cards on the table as to where I stand on this. And my views and positions, I think, are broadly similar to many others. For example, those 86 people and organisations who signed a letter to the Prime Minister that I assume most of you have seen, in that we very clearly strongly believe that there is no place for learning disability hospital provision where people live and are for a period of time beyond the need for a very small number of assessment and treatment beds that are linked to and integral to local community supports that are aimed at supporting people to live in their local areas. So the starting basis behind asking this question is, why does a learning disability hospital that draws people from a wide geographical area and then takes them in for a significant period of time exist? Because evidence says clearly that if we do things right, services and facilities like that are not needed. To briefly support that case, let me quote Eric Emerson, who would have been here speaking had he not somehow managed to wangle a job that involved people paying him to go and do work in the Cook Islands today. Outrageous. I want to know how he does it. Eric was speaking at Jim Mansell's retirement do at the University of Kent a few weeks ago. And he made a number of key points from the learning that he and others had done in supporting the people with the most complex behaviour who were labelled as challenging from the old Southeastern Regional Health Authority Learning Disability long-stay hospitals. He led the team to plan those people to get individualised community-based supports. So from looking across that whole hospital, he had some very clear conclusions based on experience and evidence. The first one was that nobody whose behaviour challenged needed to live in an institutional setting, without exception. Secondly, that no one needed to live with or benefited from living with other people who were also labelled as challenging, which is what that type of provision does. The third thing is that behaviour that challenges is best understood as being functional. In other words, what people are doing is trying to communicate and express something. The behaviour is trying to serve a purpose because most likely they are not being heard and listened to. And that doesn't explain everyone, but the clear evidence is that if we start with that as a starting assumption, that the person's trying to communicate something, then that is the best way to start understanding how to support them. And fourthly, the fact that almost all behaviour that challenges starts in childhood, and therefore we need to think about early interventions. You put those things together, and it's clear that services of the type of Winterbourne View are neither necessary nor desirable. So it seems to me that the three key questions are, why are people placed there in the first place? And that's what I'm primarily going to focus on. Secondly, why, once there, did nobody pick up on what was going wrong? That brings in questions, certainly for the commissioners, but also for the regulators as well. And thirdly, why did the provider allow such poor quality provision to be provided in the first place? So there are different areas of responsibility between different people and organisations, and I'm going to focus mainly on the first one with a little bit of the second one, i.e. the role of commissioning